Welcome to Bears Royal Guys. Please support me by subscribing and getting me to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. When a $1.1 million fifth round rookie starts making $20 million, veterans look completely obsolete on tape. It does not just create a competition, it sparks an absolute civil war inside the Chicago Bears locker room. Coaching staffs are sweating, multi-million-dollar contracts are suddenly on the chopping block, and high-price starters are watching their career incentives vanish in real time, all because Austin Booker's per-snap efficiency is breaking every advanced metric in the building. Right now, front office analytics are forcing a brutal ultimatum that threatens to bench proven stars, strip veterans of their game day active status, and trigger a massive trade deadline purge before week 1 even arrives. The film does not lie, the cap hits do not match the production, and what is happening on the practice field is about to permanently rewrite this entire defensive line rotation. If you think contract size guarantees a starting spot in the modern NFL, you need to see the exact tape that has coaching staff loyalty clashing directly with front office math. The tension on the practice field at Halas Hall is so thick you could cut it with a cleat. On one side of the line of scrimmage sit the established millionaires, men whose agent negotiations were celebrated with massive press conferences, signing bonuses and long-term guaranteed money. On the other side stands a fifth-round rookie whose base salary barely registers as a footnote on the team's total salary cap allocation. Yet, every single time the whistle blows for 11-on-11 team drills, the disparity in financial compensation completely evaporates into thin air. Austin Booker is not just holding his own against elite starting offensive tackles, he is routinely penetrating the backfield, ruining scripted offensive plays, and forcing the coaching staff to blow the whistle early to protect their high-priced offensive stars. In professional football, there is a silent code that veterans respect, but when a rookie repeatedly embarrasses senior players in full pads, that unwritten code instantly breaks down into raw hostility. You can see it in the body language between reps, the icy silence in the defensive line meeting rooms, and the complete absence of high fives when the rookie beats a double team that a 5-year veteran got stonewalled by 3 plays prior. What makes this situation an active crisis for the Chicago Bears is not just the eye test, but the undeniable mathematical reality staring every coach in the face. Advanced analytics have fundamentally changed how modern NFL front offices evaluate talent, and the per-snap metrics coming out of practice are painting a terrifying picture for the starting lineup. While a veteran defensive end might accumulate respectable baseline statistics over 40 or 50 snaps, Booker is generating elite pressure rates on a fraction of those opportunities. When a player logs a pass rush win rate that doubles the output of the guy making $15 million a year, the entire power structure of the depth chart begins to crumble. Coaching staffs used to be able to hide behind veteran experience, claiming that seasoned players understood system discipline better than rookies. However, modern tracking data tracks speed off the ball, bend around the edge, and quarterback proximity down to the millisecond. The data shows that Booker's efficiency is not a fluke or a collection of lucky reps. It is a systematic destruction of opposing blocking schemes. When the analytics department hands those weekly efficiency reports to the defensive coordinator, the narrative of waiting your turn instantly becomes an indefensible coaching liability. This creates a massive financial paradox that threatens the very cohesion of the front office and the coaching staff. On paper, management committed tens of millions in guaranteed cap space to ensure a stable, veteran-led pass rush capable of competing for a playoff spot. In practice, they are watching a kid on a day 3 rookie contract perform like an upper echelon edge rusher every single time he steps onto the turf. Every single snap that a highly paid veteran takes while producing lower efficiency numbers is essentially dead money walking. The coaching staff is trapped in a brutal dilemma. Do they play the player whose paycheck demands starter reps to protect the front office's pride? Or do they play the dynamic rookie who gives the defense the absolute best chance to win on any given down? The locker room senses this conflict, and the players know the numbers just as well as the executives do. Veterans are well aware that their future roster spots, roster bonuses, and game day active statuses are tied directly to their snap counts. When a fifth-round pick begins eating into those snaps through pure, unadulterated efficiency, camaraderie quickly gives way to self-preservation, setting the stage for an explosive positional battle that will echo all the way to the trade deadline. To understand why Austin Booker is single-handedly tearing down the Chicago Bears' defensive depth chart, you have to look past simple tackle counts and dive deep into the advanced analytics that keep front office executives up at night. When you isolate pass rush win rate, pressure frequency, and sack conversions per 100 snaps, Booker is not just matching the output of the high-priced starters, he is actively outclassing them across every meaningful metric. Modern NFL tracking systems measure a pass rusher's true value by their ability to beat a block within 2.5 seconds of the snap, and Booker's get-off speed off the edge is producing a win rate that sits firmly in the upper echelon of all edge defenders league-wide. Meanwhile, the veteran starters opposite him are logging vast quantities of empty snaps, consuming massive operational volume while generating minimal disruption in the opponent's backfield. When front office analysts compile these numbers, the conclusion is immediate and undeniable. Every snap awarded to a legacy starter over Booker is a quantifiable drag on the defense's overall lethal potential. The contrast becomes even more damning when you break down the raw efficiency of Booker's pass rush reps. In NFL analytics departments, the gold standard for evaluating pass rushers is pressure rate per 100 pass rush snaps. While the team's highly paid veteran edges require heavy usage and relentless rotation to sniff the quarterback, Booker's rate of generating hurries, hits, and sacks on limited snaps is completely off the charts. He is forcing opposing offensive tackles into immediate recovery mode using an elite combination of initial burst, ankle flex, and a hyper-violent double swipe move that leaves offensive linemen grasping at air. High-priced veterans often rely on power moves and system leverage that take time to develop, but modern offenses get the ball out faster than ever. Booker's lightning-fast win-time metrics directly address this modern threat, disrupting passing plays before the quarterback can even finish his three-step drop. Front offices pay $20 million a year for players who can alter a game script on third and long, yet their fifth-round project is delivering that exact game-changing impact every single time he steps onto the grass. Frame-by-frame film study only exacerbates the front office's panic, exposing a stark physical reality that stats alone cannot fully capture. When coaches sync up the high-angle practice tape, the visual evidence is brutal for the aging veteran starters. You see veterans getting consistently neutralized by standard single blocks, bogged down in hand fights, and losing ground on outside zone runs. Then, Booker checks into the rotation, and the entire energy of the front seven instantly shifts. The film reveals Booker consistently dipping his shoulder around the apex of the pocket, maintaining speed while turning the corner at angles that veteran joints simply can no longer manage. His bend and burst allow him to penetrate the backfield and flush quarterbacks out of their comfort zones, creating secondary pressure opportunities for the rest of the defensive line. Film analysts inside the building are pointing directly at these reps, demonstrating that Booker's presence forces offensive coordinators to alter their protection calls, shift tight ends to his side, and chip with running backs, respect that the high-earning starters are no longer commanding. Ultimately, this analytical breakdown strips away every excuse the coaching staff has historically used to justify keeping high-earning veterans on the field. Legacy reputation, vocal leadership, and massive salary cap hits mean absolutely nothing to an algorithm designed to measure total defensive efficiency. The front office general manager and his quantitative research team are staring at clear data, proving that the team's defensive ceiling skyrockets whenever Booker replaces a legacy starter on critical passing downs. This creates an explosive political divide within the organization. The coaching staff wants to trust the veteran experience they have relied on for years, while the front office demands that game plans reflect pure, unvarnished efficiency. As Booker continues to dominate every metric put in front of him, the wall protecting those veteran contracts is crumbling, setting up an inevitable roster shakeup that will leave established stars completely exposed. When you strip away the warm feel-good stories of draft day and look at the brutal business of professional football, Austin Booker's explosive efficiency isn't just winning reps, it is actively dismantling the financial ecosystem inside the Chicago Bears' defensive line room. Modern NFL contracts are filled with hidden landmines, game day active bonuses, milestone incentives, and non-guaranteed final years designed to protect team payrolls. When a day 3 draft pick earning a base salary barely over $1 million suddenly plays like an elite rotational disruptor, those multi-million-dollar veteran cap hits don't just look bloated, they look like outright managerial negligence. Front offices operate in a cold, analytical world where every dollar spent must correlate to high-value field production. The moment Booker's per-snap efficiency stats crossed into upper-tier territory, the clock instantly began ticking on every single veteran edge rusher standing in front of him on the depth chart. Management is no longer asking if they should alter the rotation. They are actively figuring out how to strip veteran playing time without destroying team chemistry or destroying the trade value of players who carry $20 million cap hits into the upcoming season. Inside the meeting rooms, that cold financial reality manifests as palpable, everyday hostility. Defensive line rooms are usually tight-knit brotherhoods, but when thousands of dollars in incentive pay evaporate every time a rookie checks into the game, camaraderie quickly dissolves into ruthless self-preservation. Veterans who once acted as mentors suddenly realize that every technique, tip, or pass rush counter they teach Booker is just another shovel of dirt on their own professional graves. They watch the coaching staff rewrite defensive packages in real time, shifting high-leverage third-down opportunities away from proven starters and handing them to a fifth-round pick who costs a fraction of their salary. The whispers about impending restructures, pay cuts, and outright releases aren't coming from outside media analysts anymore. They are echoing right down the hallways of Halas Hall. Agents are calling general managers in a panic, asking if their clients are about to be demoted to healthy scratches on game days, because in the modern NFL, once a cheap young pass rusher proves he can deliver elite efficiency, legacy contracts are treated like toxic assets waiting to be offloaded. This cold-blooded dynamic isn't a new phenomenon, but rather the continuation of a precedent that has claimed plenty of high-profile NFL veterans over the last decade. History is littered with case studies where highly compensated defensive starters were unceremoniously pushed out of building after building because high-yield, cheap draft capital forced management's hand. We have seen multi-year Pro Bowlers forced to take massive pay cuts or watch their guaranteed money get torn up simply because a day 3 rookie stepped into the rotation and provided equivalent pass rush disruption for a tenth of the price. The Chicago Bears front office is looking directly at those historical blueprints, recognizing that keeping an underperforming veteran on the field purely to justify a massive contract is a fast track to getting fired. Booker's emergence leaves no middle ground for the coaching staff. Either the established stars agree to restructure their contracts and accept diminished rotational roles, or the front office will place them on the trade block before their value completely vanishes, proving once again that loyalty in the NFL expires the second cheap efficiency steps onto the field. Inside the executive offices of Halas Hall, this clash between analytics and veteran hierarchy creates a massive power struggle over snap distribution. Coaching staffs historically lean on emotional investment, locker room status, and a misguided sense of loyalty to players who signed high-dollar contracts. Head coaches and defensive coordinators want reliable, battle-tested veterans on the field, fearing that thrusting a young player into heavy starter volume will expose him to schematic mistakes or assignment busts. On the other side of the building, front office executives and quantitative research leads look at the projected snap counts for the upcoming season and see an immediate flaw in the coaching staff's philosophy. Every single drive that features an aging starter instead of an explosive young disruptor represents an inefficient use of roster resources. Management is actively putting pressure on the coaching staff to restructure the rotation, demanding that the depth chart immediately reflect pure productivity over salary cap pedigree. This operational friction is reaching its boiling point as the coaching staff drafts the definitive edge rusher rotation split for the defensive line. Under the proposed model, high-price starters are no longer slated for their customary 65 to 70% workload. Instead, Booker's hyper-efficient metrics are forcing a dramatic redistribution that strips first-team reps away from senior edge defenders, reducing their role to secondary, run-stopping downs. Stripping a veteran of his high-leverage third-down pass rush snaps is the ultimate professional demotion, effectively signaling to the entire league that his days as a premier pass rusher are over. The coaching staff is desperately trying to balance locker room morale with executive mandates, knowing that taking away starting reps from established stars creates instantaneous tension in the building. Yet, as preseason evaluations wrap up, the coaching staff simply runs out of logical arguments to protect veteran playing time when every single internal metric proves the defense operates at a significantly higher level whenever Booker is leading the charge off the edge. The impact of this forced rotational shift extends far beyond the Chicago Bears meeting rooms. It completely changes how opposing offensive coordinators prepare for game day. Scouting reports across the league are already updating their protection schemes to account for Booker's explosive get-off and unique pass rush arsenal. When standard veterans are on the field, opposing play callers can execute standard five-man slide protections and leave their offensive tackles on isolated single blocks. However, the moment Booker enters the game, film study forces offensive coordinators to fundamentally alter their protection calls. Opposing schemes are forced to commit extra tight ends to chip him off the line, slide entire slide protection fronts to his side, or keep running backs in the backfield to offer late help. This defensive gravity opens up massive blitz lanes for linebackers and creates single coverage wins for interior rushers, validating the front office's argument that Booker's presence transforms the entire defense into a multi-dimensional lethal unit that opposing offenses genuinely fear. The ultimate conclusion to this positional crisis is already playing out across front offices, where rival general managers are monitoring the Chicago Bears' depth chart like hawks. Austin Booker's ruthless efficiency has forced management into a corner. They cannot relegate a hyper-productive edge rusher back to the bench without signaling to the locker room that contract size supersedes field performance. As a result, trade calls are officially coming in, with contending teams offering draft capital to pry away disgruntled, high-priced veterans who are suddenly facing an imminent reduction in snaps. The pre-deadline trade block is now the only logical escape valve for a front office that simply cannot justify paying starter money to legacy defenders while a fifth-round rookie delivers game-changing pressure on every single drive. This high-stakes standoff serves as a masterclass in the ruthless realities of modern NFL roster construction. The era of sheltering veterans behind long-term guaranteed contracts is officially over, replaced by an unforgiving analytical framework where per-snap metrics dictate value. Booker's swift ascent proves that when elite pass rush traits align with ultra-cheap day 3 draft value, even the most lucrative contracts on the payroll become completely expendable. High-earning stars across the league are being put on notice that legacy reputation offers zero protection when a young disruptor starts blowing up game plans at a fraction of the cost. As the regular season approaches, the Bears' defensive line represents the new blueprint for roster evolution, where production dictates playing time and financial pride is left at the door. The front office has made its stance clear. Efficiency wins games, and the best players will be on the field regardless of their paycheck. Austin Booker didn't just earn a rotational role, he forced an entire franchise to accelerate its timeline and rewrite its depth chart from the top down. If you want to see how one fifth-round pick completely reshaped an NFL defense and triggered a trade deadline domino effect, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below, letting us know whether you would trade the high-priced veteran or keep the depth intact.